Hello everyone and welcome to Real Movie Talk. This is the show where we talk everything films, the industry that surrounds them. I'm your host Dec, and with me as always is Ben.
Welcome to the podcast.
In episode 15 of the podcast, we're going to be going through all of the week's news and also going to be reviewing Alita, Battle Angel, How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, and also If Beale Street Could Talk. So before we get to those reviews though, let's get to the news. So first off we have, apparently according to Chris Pratt, the script that they're going to be using for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is actually going to be the script that James Gunn wrote. So even though James Gunn has of course now been fired from the project, it's now directing The Suicide Squad. We still don't know who's directing Guardians 3 yet, but they are going to be using James Gunn's script. I mean, I on the one hand, I'm kind of in two minds about this, because on the one hand I'm thinking obviously it's going to be a great script. Chris Pratt has said it's a great script. And we know that. We know that'd be a good script. The only thing that concerns me is who they get to direct this script. Because, obviously, without having James Gunn there to kind of fully bring that script into fruition, I don't know how well it's going to translate.
Yeah, I'm kind of mixed as well, because although I didn't like Guardians 2 very much, Guardians 1 was really good, and I think James is a really good filmmaker, and what we can take away from this is it's going to be a very good script, right? Like you said, but I personally have no idea who to put for the director, because I feel like it has to be someone that knows James Gunn or, has links to him, because otherwise it's like, oh, let's just chuck a random director in here just to play it through, but it's actually about James Gunn's script, so that's the important thing, right? So, as you said, as to, because I really don't know.
Do you not have any choices? Like I saw Travis
Yeah,
Knight being thrown around, which
yeah, I have some
I
choices.
did like, but I mean, obviously me just being a fanboy, I would like to keep Travis Knight available in case we have any Transformers movies coming up.
Yeah, I have some choices. Like, I don't have any definitive ones that I think will be absolutely perfect. But I think the director Mandy, Panos, or however you say it, would be a good choice. I'm not a massive fan of that film, but he directs the shit out of that film, and that's the best thing about the film. And it kind of reminded me of that space-like element. I think if you want a good director to direct the scripts that is funny, because Mandy's really funny, I think he's a pretty good choice in my opinion.
Yes, that seems quite. I haven't actually seen Mandy yet, but I think that's a pretty interesting choice. And also, I didn't actually include this written down, but I just remembered it given the fact we're talking about directors. Taika Waititi did actually say he's not going to do it. He's completely debunking it. He's not doing it. He says that basically just purely out of respect for James Gunn, he's not going to do it. He said the only person who should do it is James. And I like this camaraderie that all everyone at Marvel has got basically against Disney for firing James Gunn. I think it's quite interesting. But James is
Yeah,
going to get his own back. He's going to do fine. I mean, he's going to go. He's gone to Warner Brothers. He's gone to DC.
that's what.
Yeah, he's gone to the complete other side, complete middle finger. But fair enough, fair enough. And I'm excited to see what he does. And he's going to be fine. It's going to be a shame what they're going to do with Guardians, because obviously I think Guardians 3 was originally planned to be one of the first films of Phase 4 following Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
everybody knows what's going to happen with it now. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, they were also talking about, speaking of DC, they were talking about the upcoming Black Adam movie, which, to be honest, I thought they kind of just swept under the rug and just hoped that everyone forgot about it. But no, apparently it is still happening, and it's going to be very different in tone to Shazam. Now, Black Adam is a very cool character, and of course he's going to be played by The Rock. We've known this for years now. So, obviously, looking at the tone of Shazam from what we've seen so far, obviously, we're still a few months out from its release. It seems just to be, obviously, a very funny, very light-hearted, very, kind of family-friendly, in a way, sort of affair for a superhero movie. Whereas, what they're saying here, it seems like Black Adam's going to be going a lot more in the opposite direction and going a lot more comic accurate with its character, making it a lot more darker.
Yeah, I don't know. Every time I hear about Black Adam, by this point, I'm just kind of like, okay, like I don't really mind. I love the character, but it's been going on for so long. They're always teasing it. They're like, oh, this is happening, this is doing this, blah blah blah.
I don't understand why they
To
didn't just put him in Shazam. I've never understood that.
they're just trying to capitalize on two films, which I think is stupid. I think he should be in Shazam.
If he
Um,
wasn't played by The Rock, he would be.
exactly. Um, but yeah, I think it's good because I don't know. I'm really excited for Shazam, but it has the sort of fine line. Like if it goes way too cheesy, it's just annoying, right?
Yeah.
Or if it's just perfect. So I think maybe play it a bit safer with Black Adam because he is like bad as villains, like not as in bad, but like as in terrible. Oh shit, I can't even say it. As in like like villain level bad.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think if he went sort of, I don't think it would work so much. So maybe, yeah, I think it's a good idea to not do it like that.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a lot better. It works a lot better, obviously, because Black Adam is a very dark character. So it's gonna be interesting to see what they do with that. And I'm also interested to see if this film will actually ever happen, because quite frankly, I'm not optimistic that it will. I don't care that they've got The Rock there. The Rock has made some pretty big crap over the years, so we have to wait and see how this movie eventually turns out, if it ever happens. But yeah, it just annoys me because I feel like there's been rumors recently about potential cameos in Shazam and things like that. I feel like it'd be smart for them to put maybe in the post-credit scene, which we know there's going to be one of in Shazam now. It'd be smart for them just to put Black Adam in there, although there's rumors that it's going to be Superman. Although it's not going to be Henry Cavill, it's going to be just like a body double with like his back to the camera, which is just ridiculous. But anyway, we'll see what happens with this film. If it actually happens, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Now, Chris Pratt, who was talking about the James Gunn script, he was also talking about the script that he has seen for Jurassic World 3. Now, Jurassic World 3, I think, is set for 2021, I think. And he was saying that the script absolutely blew his mind. Like, what is your opinion on, like, the Jurassic World franchise so far?
Well, talking about Jurassic Park first, I'm a massive Jurassic Park fan. I love the originals. I actually like the sequels quite a lot. I really liked Jurassic World. I thoroughly loved that film. But then Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, the film, I liked half of it. I didn't like half. I liked the stuff where it was intense, especially that scene with the girl and the dinosaur. Like if you've seen it, with him
Yeah, yeah.
slowly going over her bed. Yeah, I like parts of it. I like half of the film, but then the sort of like screaming every few minutes, like I'm sort of really split on this film. But anyway, so I'm a big Jurassic Park fan, so I'm always looking forward to the next one. Even though I didn't say like this one as much as a lot of the other ones, I would say it's probably one of the worst ones out of all of them. But I'm really looking forward to this next one, and actors tend to always say
Yeah,
the
yeah.
script is going to be amazing, blah blah blah. But yeah, I kind of believe him. These films are pretty epic, and I think if they go away from maybe what didn't work, I think a lot of people didn't like the humor too much because when he was like slapping the dinosaur and stuff, and when the
Yeah, yeah.
dinosaur was moving,
Yeah.
I just didn't think it worked, and um, I think they're gonna sort of fix what they're doing. So I do believe him. It's gonna be pretty epic,
I
as
mean,
he says.
I like I mean, I love the original Jurassic Park. I don't love 2 and 3. I just think they're okay. I love Jurassic World. I do love Jurassic World. I have a lot of fun with. I have a lot of time for that movie. I just think it's a lot of fun. Fallen Kingdom, I'm very mixed on. Like the first time I watched it, I really enjoyed it, and then I tried to watch it again, and I was just like, I just didn't know like where the movie was trying to go because like I say, it's split into two halves. Like the two halves of the movie are completely different. You got the first half with the whole volcano eruption thing, and then you got the second half that tries to be a bit more horror. And I definitely preferred the second half to the first half, just because the first half it was a cool idea, but it wasn't enough to stretch out the entire movie, like the entire half of the movie. Whereas the second half was a bit more creative, which I enjoyed. But in regards to 3, I have to say I'm really interested in this movie because where the second one ended, they teased the whole idea because now the dinosaurs are just out there now. They're just out there living. So now they're teasing. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a time jump in this movie and we're going to see like, how dinosaurs and humans are now just having to coexist, because that's essentially what they're doing now is, humans and dinosaurs coexisting. That's a cool idea. That's a really awesome idea for this movie. Now, who's directing this? Is this Colin Trevorrow?
Yeah, the same one as
So
the first
back,
one.
yeah.
But the thing is, this J.A. Boyena, or however you say his name, the director of the second one, he's a really good director.
Yeah.
If you've seen The Orphanage, that is amazing. He teamed up with Guillermo del Toro for that one. Yeah, I think it was sort of like a problem with the script more than the directing.
Yeah, I would have brought him back for this one. If it was up to me,
I wouldn't blame him. I wouldn't blame him for it.
No, I think he did a really good job actually with Fallen Kingdom. Despite my problems with the movie, he wasn't the problem. But regards to like Chris Pratt, what he's saying, like you said, the movies are very epic. They they have a lot of ambition to them. I mean, even when you go back to the original Jurassic Park, that's an ambitious idea, and obviously it's become so iconic over time. But I feel like the Jurassic World movies, they do continue to kind of evolve themselves, for better or worse is up to you. But I feel that they do continue to evolve themselves with new ideas. Like I said, the first one actually bringing the park to life. That was the idea for the first one. Second one, they tried to go a bit more horror vibe, which was cool. The Indominus Rex and things like that. And now with this one, they're finally doing it, of dinosaurs and humans living in the same world together. So, say what you want about them, but I think they are definitely ambitious movies. And I have to say, I'm pretty excited about this. I'm pretty interested. Like I say, we're still a couple years out from it. It's 2021. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, another threequel that we are potentially getting is the third Ant-Man movie in the MCU. Michael Douglas, who plays Hank Pym, was talking about how there have been discussions at Marvel Studios to do a third Ant-Man film. It's not really a surprise because Marvel tends to work in trilogies, so we're pretty used to this idea of getting, a third movie for each of the characters. Ant-Man 3, I definitely think it's something that's going to happen. I'm definitely interested to see what they do with Ant-Man 3. I think they might get very crazy with this third film, especially where they went with the second one. I didn't love Ant-Man and the Wasp. I know you really liked it. I wasn't too hot on it. And I'm not too hot on the first one either, to be honest. I think all the best Ant-Man stuff is actually in Civil War. But I still enjoy these movies, and I'm definitely excited for this third one.
Yeah. Well, funny thing, I literally have an opinion that is like nothing like anyone else, but I think Ant-Man and the Wasp is my favorite Marvel film.
Wow, that is a bold statement.
I love the film so much, and I love Ant-Man. Seeing him like in the Infinity War trailer just made me so happy. I was at the cinema the other day, and the trailer came on, right? And came on. I was like, I fucking love him.
Yeah,
I just literally sort of shouted out. Yeah, I love him so much. I agree. The first one, but the villain really doesn't work for me. But about this, reading Michael Douglas's quote, it gives me hope because I do think that it's going to come around, but I don't think it's like number one on their priority list, because when you look at it, money obviously it made. Obviously, I don't really care about how much money it made, but it's the studio. It's all about making money in these blockbusters, and so if you look at something like Infinity War or Black Panther, tons of money, and so maybe they're trying to, like Black Panther, introduce like Captain Marvel, do a few of these other new ones to try and build another audience, or go for the Avengers thing first. I think that's what they're doing, but I'm very excited.
Yeah, I mean, because when you look at like the upcoming slate of Marvel movies, like there are a couple of characters who are kind of absent from the line. I mean, we don't have a full lineup yet, but there are kind of a couple of characters who have kind of fallen by the wayside when it comes to their sequels, like Doctor Strange, who has been picking up a little bit of traction more recently, but we still haven't had anything really official about that yet. Ant-Man being the same thing. They're more focusing a lot more on, Black Panther is obviously gonna happen. Captain Marvel, the first movie for that's coming out. And it seems like they're focusing on more new stuff, like obviously the Eternals, the Black Widow movie, and things like that. Spider-Man 3 will be coming down the pipe at some point. So, I think what you say is true. It is all about money for these studios, and Ant-Man is not the most profitable of their lineup of their characters. And like I say, I think the same applies to Doctor Strange, which is why we haven't jumped on that sequel yet. But I'm definitely excited about Ant-Man 3 just to see what they do with it, especially where they go after Endgame. There are rumors that in Endgame we're going to see an older Cassie Lang, if time travel is involved, which I'm definitely excited about, because Cassie Lang in the comics is awesome. So I honestly think, like, with Ant-Man 3 they can really go crazy with it, and if that's the case, I'm all for it, because I think that's going to be a great idea. And Paul Rudd, he just is so likable in these films, and it's just so charismatic, so fun. And for me, even though I didn't love Ant-Man and the Wasp, he was still the best part of that movie for me, and the cast overall is fantastic. Like, I love Evangeline Lilly as the Wasp, and Michael Pena continues to be an absolute treasure in these films. I love him so much. So I'm still excited about this movie. Now, sticking with the MCU, we also got a potential news that Avengers 4 or Avengers Endgame is still looking to be around 3 hours long for its final cut. The cut that the Russo brothers currently have is still around 3 hours long. And there's been a lot of rumors recently that we could be seeing a interval in the film, which is something that we used to get a lot more, back in the day. We used to get a lot more intervals when films used to be naturally longer. So there's been a lot of discussion within the film industry recently about whether to bring intervals back, and if they'd be necessary, if it's something that people would want. So what do you think? Like, if you're gonna go watch Endgame, right, and you're sitting there and you think, okay, this movie's 3 hours long, let's say just over 3 hours long, would you think you'd want an interval about an hour and a half way through?
I personally don't have any problem with an interval, but also I don't have a problem with a film being 3 hours. Like, I've seen 3 hours. How long was Blade Runner? It wasn't 3 hours, was it?
45. It was like just shy.
Yeah, so I don't have any problem with it. I think would be good. I think, like, I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't know. Either way, I'm fine. I like the idea of an interval, and I like going through old films, and you see there's an interview, even on the DVD, or you watch West Side Story, and then section, and it's kind of reminiscent of like a natural theater of how, like, if you go to a show in the West End or Broadway, you get those intervals. And I think it's a time to sort of look at your friends or whoever's with you, look at your family, and be like, stuff, right, for like 5 minutes or so. And then I think that's kind of exciting, but also I wouldn't, either way, I'm fine.
I'm a bit more like, I don't think I'd want an interval with this, because it would kind of break the immersion, I think, for me. If like halfway through the film something really intense just happened, and now I have to wait like 15 minutes of just nothing before we can continue with this. I mean, there are upsides to it. Like, obviously, you can get more snacks, you can get more drinks, you can go to the toilet, things like that. There are good parts to it, but I feel like with something like Avengers, especially because 3 hours in reality, it's not that bad. And like, people sit through 2.5 hours. Like, what's an extra half an hour gonna do? If it was 4 hours, which granted, I'm not saying it should be 4 hours, but if it was, I'd be like, okay, an interval is probably, that's probably relevant. That'd be fine, because that is a long time. But I think 3 hours isn't that bad. And also, the thing is, if they put in an interval, that's going to increase the time even more that you're going to be in that cinema, which means that they're going to have less screens to play this on. And granted, I mean, not that it's going to matter to them. This is going to be like the biggest movie of the year for sure, and it's not going to worry them money-wise, but you know what I mean? I just feel like that there's too many problems that come with it, and people will be sitting there like speculating, talking about it, and I don't want to hear their thoughts, quite frankly. I don't want to start speculating. We've been speculating about this movie for years. I don't need any more. It's finally here. Let's just watch it. Let's not take any breaks. And like I say, like Blade Runner 2049, that was nearly 3 hours, and it was pretty close. And I didn't have a problem with that movie. Transformers: Age of Extinction was about 2 hours 45. Granted, it shouldn't have been, but it was still fine. So I feel like this whole interval thing, it'd be interesting, because it's just not something that happens these days. It would be interesting, but like, I think people are kind of just looking at this particular film, and because it's such a big event, people are thinking, oh, let's do this, because like I say, we've had 3 hours before in films, like look at like The Wolf of Wall Street, for example, and no one was talking about an interval then. So it's not. I don't think it's like a big thing, and I don't think it is going to happen. And like I say, in regards to like musicals and things like that, when you go to like shows in Broadway or on the West End, you do get intervals. You will get an interval halfway through. Like I watched Motown the musical over the summer, and there was an interval there. But I feel like with that's a lot more of a traditional thing. Whereas here, the film industry's kind of moved away from that. So I just don't really feel like this is happening, and I don't think it's necessary personally. So we also got the news about a Aquaman spin-off film. This is going to be The Trench. So this was the part of the film where Arthur and Mera went into that dark particular area of the ocean to go through basically that portal to get to where his mum was. For me, like, Warner Brothers just never learn, do they? They can never just leave well enough alone. Like, as soon as they get any bit of success, it's like, oh, let's make 10 spin-offs out of it. And it's just like, they've done the same thing with Suicide Squad, with Harley Quinn. Birds of Prey is essentially, call it what you want, but it is essentially a Suicide Squad spin-off. We had that Harley Quinn movie announced, the Joker movie, which they've both just been shelved apparently. But now we're getting this, like The Trench. Like, do you care about The Trench?
You know what? I actually really do like this. I might be like the only person, but I thought it was so intriguing. Like, obviously, I really liked Aquaman. I loved it. But that specific part really intrigued me. But I can see, I don't think I don't think it's a smart move, but I think it will be an interesting film to actually do, because I think with James Wan behind it, with those horror elements that you saw in the film when the trench was there, beautiful it looked. I think they could do a really nice sort of little horror film. But yeah, in terms of slate and what they're doing, it doesn't really make sense because it's so different. It's not about any heroes. It's about some creatures, which obviously excites me, being a Guillermo del Toro fan, and all these monsters I love, right? But also being James Wan fan as well, and being a horror fan, it doesn't really make too much sense, although I would like to see it.
I wasn't the biggest lover of Aquaman. I do agree though, the trench sequence was pretty cool. I did enjoy that, especially though these creatures were pretty freaky looking. I just think, like, if they were going to do an Aquaman spin-off, this was just one of the weirdest things you can go for, because this would be very different to like any other superhero movie, which I guess is props. I'm definitely interested, because like you say, this wouldn't focus on any particular hero. This would just be like a group of, like, would there be a main character necessarily? Like, where would the narrative follow? It'd be interesting. I'm just surprised that, like, if they're going to do an Aquaman spin-off, you would have thought they would have done something along the lines of maybe like a Mera movie or a Black Manta movie, rather than The Trench. But to be honest, I look at this and I'm go, yeah, they've announced this, but it's never going to happen. This is going to be one of those DC movies which is never going to happen. But then again, they've attached writers to it. It's not like they just announced and said, oh yeah, we'll do it. They've actually attached writers to this one, and because it's coming off the back of Aquaman, which is their biggest success, it's DC's biggest movie of all time. I feel like there is a bit of legitimacy to it. So who knows? It could happen. They have also announced the writer of the first film is coming back to write the second film. I think they should do Aquaman 2 before they do this. Maybe set up the trench a little bit more. You could do a post-credit scene with that film before you do this one. Just because I don't like the idea, but we'll have to see what the interest is like for it. And it seems like it's a bit mixed. It's a bit up and down at the moment, but I don't know. I have very mixed opinions on it.
Yeah. Just quickly in regards to what the film could be about and actually will happen, and I don't feel like it's one of those just, oh, we're going to do a Harley Quinn and Joker film even though no one liked Jared Leto's Joker, right? It's not one. I don't think it's one of those situations. It could be, but I don't think it is. I think because it has James Wan backing it, he seems to have a really massive passion for these creations, and I feel like Aquaman's success, they owe a lot to James, and I think they're going to try and push forward with this. But in regards to the story, I think it could be more of like a Atlantis film, like in the past. Find out, the bits we saw in Aquaman, but like a bit longer, and then it's like the origins of the trench. Maybe you follow one, maybe it's a sort of like Lord of the Rings type thing, like Golem, like how these people became the trench and what they're like, and what they feel, and how they live. Essentially, I think it could be something like that.
I mean, it was quite interesting in Aquaman when you got to see how all the different factions of Atlantis kind of were created, and how the trench were like these backwards evolving kind of people, But I mean, thing is, we got all that in Aquaman for me, and like, I just don't think I care enough to actually have this. I feel like we got it covered in Aquaman to a fairly decent extent. I have the information I need. I just don't think I need any more. But this could be the best superhero movie ever made. I'm not to judge. This could be the best movie ever, but just the way I'm looking at it now, I just don't think it's necessary, and it feels to me it's just Warner Brothers again, just clinging to any success that they can get, which is a shame. Now this one I'm going to hand over to you a little bit, just because you know a little bit more about this kind of stuff than I do. But the Oscars have got a bit of controversy this week, haven't they?
Yeah. So they took away they announced they took away the cinematography, makeup and hair, and short film and film editing. So, and flip shit, like, just out of memory, I know Alfonso Cuarón did these are viral tweets, by the way. Alfonso Cuarón commented on it. Guillermo del Toro did loads of tweets. Stephen King did loads of tweets. Edgar Wright just did loads of tweets. Russell Crowe did. So really high A-lister people that are really in with the Academy. Like, Guillermo fucking killed it last year. So, and Alfonso's killing it, right?
Yeah.
So, they've screwed up. They screwed up. And when I saw this, I'm just mad that honestly, why are you caring about the show? If you cut down 4 fucking categories, you're not going to get any more people in, if you know what I mean. Like, you're going to get the same amount of people, say, cutting off halfway through, right?
Yeah.
But why not just live tweet the whole fucking show or something? Like, even though obviously I would hate that, but honestly at this point, if they're so bothered about their ratings, cutting 4 categories, but also it being cinematography and film editing and hair and makeup, is just ridiculous. I know they said they're going to put it on the road to cinematography and film editing, that, like everyone has been saying, and I'm just going to reiterate it, film and cinema without those 2 categories, and it's just ridiculous. In my mind, cinematography is probably like the 3rd biggest category, honestly. I would go best picture, best director, and then cinematography, and then the actings for me. It's stupid. And I agree with all these people. And I think they should definitely check their asses and pull the finger out.
It is quite ridiculous, especially because, I mean, I love the cinematography category as well. Cinematography is one of my favourite things. Just because I always especially last year when I was just like absolutely just clinging to Roger Deakins, just hoping he'd win, and thank God
same.
he did.
Oh my God.
I
was so happy.
Waking up the morning after, checking my phone for the results and seeing that. That definitely woke me up that morning. But I mean, yeah, this is quite ridiculous. I mean, thing is, like you say, if it's all about ratings to them, just getting rid of these categories is not going to do anything. Like, if people aren't interested in award shows, it's just because they're not interested in award shows. It doesn't matter what the award necessarily is. I just feel like, just not airing everything and just doing it separately only to live tweet it afterwards is ridiculous. Like, the BAFTAs did that this year, I think, with a couple of categories. Like, I think Best Animated Feature wasn't on there.
It's fine. Yeah. If you watched it, I don't know if you watched it. It was just at the end. Although I would have loved to see the whole thing. Fine, because they dedicated like at least a couple of minutes to each of the sections, but it was fine. It might be doing something like that with the Oscars, which I think is fine. But honestly, if you're trying to get more ratings, cutting 4 categories and especially cutting cinematography and editing, it's not going to make any difference.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, well, another way I've got to look at it is that I'm not going to be watching the Oscars because I can't. I mean, I don't think we both can. But you know, still, even just for people who do live overseas who do watch the Oscars, I just feel like people who watch this stuff, they care about this stuff. So just to get rid of it, it's just kind of a slap in the face, really. And it feels just a bit like oh yeah, we don't care about you, we only care about viewers, and it's just it's a bit ridiculous. But some people will say that all these awards anyway don't matter, which to an extent they don't. But it's fun to talk about these things. But do you want to quickly mention the BAFTAs? Because they were this week. I did watch the show live. My first major takeaway is, can they please get rid of Joanna Lumley? She cannot do jokes.
Oh, I like her.
No, I'm sorry.
I really like her.
None of her jokes landed. Not a single one. How do you not agree that was really frosty and awkward?
Oh, I really liked her.
I
actually did. I was laughing.
Sat there with the crowd just like dying. Like the entire crowd was just not into it. The only joke I'll give her is her Oscars joke, which she did at the start about like her being a host and not having Twitter and all that. That was quite good. But other than that, I thought it
burst out laughing for that.
I thought it was horrific. And I liked her last year, but this year I don't know what it was. I was just like, no, this isn't working for me. But anyway, that's not important. The actual awards, though, Roma pretty much swept it, as did The Favourite, which I think a lot of us expected. I mean, The Favourite sort of being a British film, that was kind of to be expected, and I'm happy for it because I love The Favourite. I've seen The Favourite twice now, and the second time I absolutely adored it. Like, I mean, I really liked it the first time, but the second time I fucking loved it. And then Roma just pretty much took the rest of it as well. We got a couple of the good ones as well. It was nice to see Bradley Cooper get an award. And then we did get a couple of the weird ones, like Black Panther got Best Visual Effects again.
Oh, what? I was like, what the shit? That was the only award. I was like, what? Like, honestly?
How has this happened again?
No sense.
Where did it win that again? Was it the Critics' Choice Awards?
Yeah. And it's not even nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah, like I just sat there and watched the award. I was thinking, oh yeah, come on, Avengers or First Man, come on. And then it's just Black Panther. I was like, really? Come on, again. But I mean, there are other awards that I liked as well, like seeing Black Klansman get adapted screenplay. I love Black Klansman, that was nice. But yeah, for the most part, it basically just came down to The Favourite and Roma.
So, in regards to the BAFTAs, so happy. I really was. You should have seen me. So my family was there. I was there. So they were sort of just spectating me the whole time because I'm the one totally into it. And I was jumping up and just going, yes, come on. It happened so many times, especially with The Favourite and Roma, which are two of my favourite films of last year. And especially when Rachel and Olivia won, I jumped up and I was just so happy. But for all the other ones, Roma winning Best Film, Best British Film going to The Favourite rather than Bohemian Rhapsody. That was really nice to see. And there were some, really nice surprises. I thought, although I didn't think Black Klansman maybe should have won Adapted Screenplay, I kind of just like seeing Spike Lee there, and I liked his speech, although I think maybe First Man or Street probably deserved it over it, in my opinion. There's some bits where I was like, oh, I don't know about that. That was Rami Malek winning. I know he's got all this backing behind him right now, but how is he beating Christian Bale or even Viggo Mortensen or Bradley Cooper? I don't know. And then another one I wasn't so sure about and I did not expect was A Star Is Born. I know you're very happy about it and lots of people are, but I don't know how it be If Beale Street Could Talk or Isle of Dogs. That doesn't make sense to me, but it was kind of still nice to see Bradley up there, as with Spike Lee as well.
It was best original song. It was original. It was just original music.
It was the music.
Yeah, because Beale Street score. I mean, we'll talk about Beale Street in a bit, but yeah, the score in that movie is amazing. Isle of Dogs, yeah.
And things. So I have no idea why Bohemian Rhapsody won sound over First Man or Quiet Place. I don't know why that won. Visual effects, like we said, no idea why Black Panther won. That's, even if you like the film, you can say that is the worst part about the film. It's bad. And the final one that I wasn't so sure about was, I know it's voted by the public, but the Rising Star went to Letitia Wright over Cynthia Erivo.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen Cynthia take that.
He had a great year.
Yeah.
Bad Times at the El Royale and Widows, two of the best films of the year. So yeah, I was very happy, and this was basically nearly as perfect as show could go for me. Basically, seeing like Cold War being nominated in all these places, I was rooting for Roma, Cold War, and The Favorite, and seeing tons of wins for my picks just was really nice.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed the BAFTAs. I've been watching them live ever since last year now. And, like I said, I was happy with quite a few of them. Like, say, Black Klansman, I liked seeing that. My favourite win of the night was definitely Olivia Colman for Best Actress. So happy to see that. And her speech was absolutely amazing. Just really brought a smile to my face. Her speech was absolutely blinding. And Rachel Weisz as well. I loved seeing her. Mahershala wasn't really a surprise. It was funny. I was actually watching an interview before the BAFTAs when all the celebs were on the red carpet, and it was with Richard E. Grant, and they literally said to him, "Oh, what do you think your chances are?" He's like, "Oh, come on, there's a front runner. There has been a front runner all season.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna win." And like, I loved how honest he was about it. I mean, granted, Richard E. Grant is so good in Can You Ever Forgive Me? I know you haven't seen it yet, but he's so good in that film. But yeah, it's very true in what he said. Mahershala is the front runner. He has been all season, and he did win. So, deservedly so. He was definitely my favorite as well.
Him and Timothy were my picks.
Yeah, so like it was pretty obvious. But yeah, it was a decent show overall. There were a few surprises in there. Like say, A Star Is Born probably shouldn't have won there, even though there are some good music. Given its competition, no. Bohemian Rhapsody probably shouldn't have got what it got. Also alongside, stuff like, there were a few other stuff as well. It was a bit of an odd one for me. It was a bit of a mixed bag. For the most part, I enjoyed it though. But it's just, it's all kind of the run up to the Oscars now, which is just over 10 days away. So we're getting close. So just to finish off the news, we got a trailer today, or actually it was yesterday, funnily enough, for a film called Yesterday. This is the new Danny Boyle film, which is I think he's not directing it, is he? Or is he directing it? I don't think he is directing it. He might be, but it's essentially
Who is?
Is Danny Boyle directing Yesterday? He is. Okay, so this is the new Danny Boyle film, and it's they kind of kept it under wraps for quite a long time, and then yesterday they just kind of came out and said, "Oh yeah, here's this film and here's the trailer." So it's about a guy who gets involved into. He's a singer-songwriter. He's about to throw in the towel. Then he gets hit by a bus or something, or a car. He's in a bike accident, and when he wakes up, the world doesn't remember who the Beatles are. He's the only person who does. So he basically just takes all their songs and uses them for himself. Now, it's an interesting idea, and I have to say this trailer really charmed me. I really liked it, and I really like the cast in this as well. Like, you put Lily James in anything, I'm watching it. I adore her, and the movie seems really sweet in a way and just really fun, and I like this idea. I've seen a lot of people giving it a bit of criticism, but I think it just looks like a really fun movie, and I'm gonna be interested, especially because they tease in the movie that maybe Paul and Ringo might show up in the movie. So it's interesting, but I've heard a lot of mixed thoughts. So what are your thoughts on
it? Yeah. So in regards to the trailer, I don't know. I really liked the first half of it. I was really into it, but then the last half was just kind of like, okay, whatever. But the thing is, I love Danny Boyle. I think he's, one of the best directors, and Dog Millionaire, but mainly I love Trainspotting. I think Trainspotting is just incredible. It's, up there with some of the best films of all time, in my opinion. And I think he really has a visual style, and the way he directs is just amazing, and I love him. So this film has some of that style, but I think it's quite a lot different. And that sort of excites me, but also at the same time I'm a bit like, I don't know, is it too cheesy? Because like, is it all about hit by a bus and maybe it's all inside his head? Blah blah blah. Is it too conventional? Which I believe that it probably isn't that conventional because it's Danny Boyle. I don't know. He didn't write the script, so we'll have to wait and see. But like, sort of half the trailer, and we'll wait and see. But anything like you said with Lily James, sign me up.
Yeah, I love her so much. Like I saw I don't know if you saw this on Twitter a few weeks ago. There was a really good casting choice. People want her to play Supergirl in the DCEU.
Did you say?
People are saying that they really want Lily James to play Supergirl in the DCEU. I think that's a
They
pretty
which character? Sorry.
Supergirl.
Uh,
You don't see it?
Lily James. Sec.
You have to try and envision it.
The thing is, I love. Yeah, I think she would be a good one.
I think it's
Great
perfect for
actress,
me.
honestly. Like Baby Driver, obviously Mamma Mia, the Guernsey Literary Potato Pie Society was one of my favorites last year. Actually, she was in Dunk. She was sorry, not Dunkirk. She was in Darkest Hour as well. I think she's so good, and I could see her being Supergirl, and I would actually be really down for that.
Yeah.
But maybe I would go maybe like Batgirl first or something over Supergirl. I don't know.
I see her a lot more in a Supergirl than a Batgirl role because Supergirl is a lot more sort of sweet and innocent. I think, and I think Lily James portrays that very well. I don't know when I just saw, like, it was just one post I saw about it on Twitter and I was like, that's perfect, that's brilliant. But yeah, I think this film looks decent, looks okay. I'm definitely interested in it though. Now Chloe Zhao, who is currently slated to direct the Eternals film for Marvel. She's got another film coming out before that though, which is called Nomadland, which has just been announced, starring Frances McDormand. Now I know you're very excited about this.
Yeah, I'm really excited because number one, Three Billboards is freaking amazing. And if you have seen, obviously I haven't seen the director's films before. I haven't seen the writer yet. I've been meaning to get around to it. But if you've seen Three Billboards, as you know, Frances won the freaking Oscar. I think it was her second Oscar actually. Seen her in Fargo and all these different, Coen Brothers films and other films. She fucking kills it. She's an amazing actress. Also, I love her in the Wes Anderson films, especially Moonrise Kingdom. She's so good. But anyway, seeing it was bought by Fox Searchlight, who I have massive faith in because they just kill it. They had The Favorite this year. What was that other one that they had this year? I think it's Can You Ever Forgive Me? They had The Shape of Water. Also, I believe they had Three Billboards, right?
Yeah, they did, yeah.
They just killing it. So this gives me great hope, and also the reactions to the rider and how good apparently Chloe Zhao is. That excites me. Like everything is adding up. Fox Searchlight plus Frances McDormand. What is there not to love?
Yeah, I think this looks really interesting. And yeah, you just got to look at the talent involved, like Chloe Zhao, who's been getting a lot of buzz recently, hence why she's been given the reins of a Marvel movie. And then on top of that, Frances McDormand, who I absolutely love. Three Billboards was one of my favourite films of last year. I know technically it's 2017, but it was 2018 for me. I adored that film. Thought it was absolutely brilliant. And, bringing those two elements, bringing them together, sure. And like I say, Fox Searchlight is one of those little seals of approval, as I like to call it, when a studio, it's just if a studio that I like or something like that. For me, it's like, it's them, it's A24, it's even Amazon Studios I throw under there. I think Amazon really really choose good films. So if it's got either of those studios attached, it's like it's a little seal of approval to like, yep, this is something interesting to keep your eye on. So yeah, definitely interested in this. Now The Irishman, which is Martin Scorsese's new film, which is coming to Netflix apparently this year. Apparently half of it is going to be de-aged, so they're going to be de-aging, Al Pacino and all the other stars of the film, Robert De Niro. So obviously this de-aging technology is something that's really come up in the past couple of years, and it's definitely something that's really improved. And it's definitely something that I think is going to be a lot more influential going forward. And this could be one of those first big steps where, you know, half of this movie is going to be that.
Yeah, I think it could be. And as you may know, I don't know if you know, but I'm a freaking. I think Martin Scorsese is one of the best directors of all time. Period.
Yeah, he's great.
And his resume, like, he's not made a bad film. He's not made one, in my opinion. And he just freaking kills it basically every time. You know, I can list, like, recently, Silence was incredible. Obviously Shutter Island a few years before, and then if you go back, you look at, you know, Mean Streets, Goodfellas, Raging Bull. This guy fucking kills it. He's one of the best. But in regards to the de-aging technology, you know, I don't care. I think if they're using it, if Martin Scorsese wants to use it, like, he wouldn't make something shit. And I think this could be the way forward if people are starting to use this technology more and more. We saw it in Ant-Man and the Wasp. We've seen it in a few other things. I thought Robert Downey Jr. looked really fucking weird in, I think it was Civil War.
That was a bit off-putting, that one, yeah.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, it was amazing, and it looks really good in Captain Marvel. So if Netflix and Martin Scorsese can do this, I think it's really good, and I think it will work.
Yeah, and I think, you know, something like Captain Marvel is going to prove how viable this is, because, you know, with Captain Marvel we have Samuel L. Jackson, who's going to be, you know, a big part of that film, and he's entirely de-aged for that entire movie. So, you know, if that works, if that comes off and it's believable and it's viable, then I feel like, yeah, this movie is going to get a lot more, bit more of a push behind it. So this is definitely going to be interesting. And what I think helps as well, you were just talking about all the Marvel ones, is that if the actors in question have had careers in the past, they can. It's a lot better to do that, which is, I think, why people like Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer, why they looked so good, and Robert Downey Jr. looked a bit dodgy, because Robert Downey Jr.'s, you know, although there is old footage of Robert Downey Jr. in the 90s, this was in the 80s, so it wasn't, you know, the film footage wasn't quite where they needed it to be, so it looked a bit off. Whereas with Michael Douglas, like, we know what Michael Douglas looks like in the 80s, so we could just use that. And the same goes for these actors. So, you know, I feel like it's going to be a lot more better. It's going to be a lot better. And it's just, you know, whether they'll be able to sustain that quality for, you know, half of the movie. But we'll have to wait and see. This is just such a big opportunity for Netflix.
Yeah. I think with the massive budget, with it being over 140 million, I believe, Netflix cares about how much they're spending. Obviously, if it's on Netflix, it's probably going to be in, you know, very limited cinemas, but I believe they're going to probably push this out more, because Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro and everyone are all behind showing on the big screen. If you've heard them speak before, that is what they're all about. So they're not all about, you know, showing it on a small screen or whatever. So they will try and do that. So I don't think it's going to make back its money. And I don't think Netflix intend to do that. I think they intend to make a really good Martin Scorsese film. Characters returning, like De Niro, Joe Pesci coming out of retirement, Al Pacino and Harvey Keitel, among others. Just proving that Netflix, I think it's themselves proving, oh, look, we're here to stay. Look, we had Roma, Buster Scruggs last year, and now we have The Irishman, and we're having all these different projects from these great directors. And I think that's what they're doing for now. And then, like, later in the future, they may get, you know, a deal where they can, you know, show more and more of their films in cinemas so they can make back their money. But I think for now, they're just sort of caring about their original products that they're making.
Yeah, I think this is a huge opportunity for them. And it's going to be something that's going to prove, you know, further prove why Netflix is such a big staple now, especially with things, you know, like Roma and this. I think the movie Triple Frontier is going to do quite a good thing for Netflix as well. So finally, Spike Lee has also announced his new film, which is going to be called DA5 Bloods, and this is also going to Netflix as well. And this is going to be starring Chadwick Boseman. Now, I haven't seen many Spike Lee films. In fact, I've only seen BlacKkKlansman. But, you know, I adore Black Klansman. I ever since that movie's come out on Blu-ray, I've watched it so many times. I love it, and so I'm completely down for Spike Lee, and I need to go back and watch his previous films because I just love that movie so much. And this news, Chadwick Boseman in the star. I love Chadwick Boseman, and because I was a big fan of Chadwick Boseman even before Black Panther. If you've ever seen Get On Up, which is the James Brown biopic, I adore that film, and he's so good in that movie. He is so good in that movie. So to take that, put him in a bit more of a serious role, outside of the comic book world, I'm definitely down for it.
Yeah, I'm kind of opposite. I'm not. I don't think Chadwick's that amazing. I think he's pretty good. The thing is, so I can't say as in that, but from the Marvel films that I've seen, I haven't seen him in any other films. I don't believe. I think he's good, but I don't think he's that amazing of an actor. But I haven't, like I said, I haven't seen Get On Up or 40 or those other films he's made. I don't even think it was the best thing about Black Panther. I think Michael B. Jordan was the best thing, and other characters. But anyway, I really did like Black Klansman. I'm a big Spike Lee fan, and really excited. And although I would have liked to see when I was sort of envisioning Spike Lee's new film right after Black Klansman, because he likes introducing these sort of newer people into his cast, these newer actors. I was thinking someone that would be great for a Spike Lee film and could really shine and become a star could be Stephen James or Stephan James from If Beale Street Could Talk. Yeah. I thought, like, when I was envisioning the next Spike Lee film, who could be a star, like, say, a John David Washington, like, coming to the light, right? I was like, he would be amazing. But yeah, so I'm excited because it's Spike Lee, not necessarily because of Chadwick Boseman, because as I said, I think he's good, but I don't think he's that amazing. But maybe Spike Lee will bring out the proper sheer inner talent of him, maybe, for me.
I agree, because, have you only seen Black Klansman? Is that like Black Panther in regards to Chadwick Boseman?
Oh yeah, and Infinity War and Civil War. Yeah,
I will admit, he's not like super strong as Black Panther because he's kind of he kind of underplays it quite a bit as Black Panther because I think he has to come across quite regal. But honestly, watch Get On Up. Like he's so good in that, or just watch some scenes from it because James Brown is such a electrifying performer and he's such a eccentric kind of guy, and he brings it across so well because he does all of his own singing and dancing as well. It's fantastic. But I'm excited about this, and again, just because I love Black Klansman so much. I literally watch that movie all the time now, just because I have it, and it's just I'm excited for anything he does. So anyway, we'll now move on to the reviews. First up, we have Alita Battle Angel. So I'd just like to start off by saying that I was not looking forward to this movie at all. I thought the trailers for this movie were dreadful. I didn't particularly care for the source material, so I thought, this isn't really going to be for me. I'll give it a go, but it's not really going to be for me. The final trailer, though, I thought was great, and it actually started to get me interested. And the movie itself, I actually thought was very good.
Do you want me to do my thoughts, or do you want to continue? So yeah, going in, at first, the first trailer I saw, right, like all those months ago, I was like, oh my god, this looks shit. I was like, oh, no. The point, right? And then I kept on seeing new marketing, just bit by bit, showing more of the sort of heart of the film over all of the action that may seem a bit weird compared to those other scenes, because it is very Uncanny Valley, as I've described it. So I went in to see the film sort of like excited, and it delivered for me. I really did like it, and was very ambitious, and it really took a lot of sort of leaps, and I thought it was beautiful, and the visuals are spectacular, and I personally love the sort of Uncanny Valley type nature, like the way that it exists between these two worlds, between a live action world and visual effects with different people, and the way that some of these sort of futuristic people are like literally just have a face. really interesting, and it's set in this dystopian vision of the future. And so, Alita's broken down, and we get to meet Dr. Ido, and that's Christoph Waltz, who I'm a massive fan of, Django Unchained and Glorious Bastards. And so Alita sort of just finds her way, and it's this sort of coming of age story for her, and it sets up a sequel at the end, and I think it's entirely worthy. And I think the ending and how it finished was really good, in my opinion. And I was surprised with the action because it had a 12A rating. I thought, okay, so this is going to be, cut away, when someone dies or someone gets hit, but they really tested that rating. Literally, bodies getting sliced in half, people's face getting squashed, like literally their brains across the wall, and there was an F-bomb as well, which was kind of like, whoa. But I really appreciated that, and I really appreciated they went full throttle with this. They didn't hold back on anything, and captured this innocence throughout the film, and it was really kind of touching with this coming of age story for Alita, but also seeing her as, but also remembering her past and using her power and her strength to actually, as a warrior, as a fighter from this, mysterious planet city up in the sky. I thought it was really intriguing, and I think the film is beautiful, and I really liked because his direction, it was really sort of sweeping and sleek, and I thought Rosa Salazar absolutely killed it, and I love those eyes. I love those eyes. I think they really sort of just reach out and touch into you, and although I think the biggest weak point of this film is probably Mahershala Ali's character and Jennifer Connelly's character, and I think there is a slight problem with some of the dialogue that is perhaps you could consider a bit cliche, but also it works in a good way that it's really kind of childish and just simple, and there's not too much dialogue really in terms of Alita. And I thought it was just really kind of innocent and touching, and I just really liked it, and I thought it was very ambitious, and it was very successful in my eyes.
Yeah, I also really enjoyed it. Like I said, I didn't expect to enjoy it at all. I kind of felt like this was going to be another Ghost in the Shell situation. This is what Ghost in the Shell wanted to be. It's so much better than that film. Like, Rosa Salazar blew me away in this. I'd seen her in a couple of things before, like the Maze Runner films and stuff like that. But she doesn't have like a major
She doesn't
role.
get much to do, yeah.
She doesn't have a major role in those films, so it was hard to really get a judge on that. But she's great in this. She's really good, and I think this is like a star-making performance. I think we're going to see her, in a lot more of these sort of films. I think she's going to really step up now, which I'm completely happy with. Yeah, the eyes, like I say, is one of the most like controversial things about this film is the eyes. If you're not familiar with it, it is going to be a bit off-putting, but I think you will get used to it. And once you do, like you say, they're really like, they do reach out to you, and it makes Alita like feel different to everyone else, which could almost be seen as a negative in some ways, but in other ways, I think it actually it makes her stand out. And for a lead character, I think that's absolutely fine. I don't think that's a problem at all. And then there are a couple of weak points in regards to characters though. Like, characters are some like my weaker points for the film. Like the love interest character was it was just kind of unnecessary. It wasn't necessarily bad. He was just unnecessary being there.
I kind of liked him.
I thought he was fine. I don't have a problem with him. I just think the necessity of a love plot wasn't really a thing that was needed. Mahershala is good in the film for what he has. Jennifer Connelly is as well good for what she has. I did like Christoph Waltz though. He was good. I liked him a lot. The worst performance for me was Ed Skrein. Like, he was so over the top. It was almost like it was too over the top and too cartoony even for this movie. He kind of felt like it was a different film. Hey, the spikes. I thought it was just a bit of a weird performance for me, Ed Skrein. I just felt like it was a bit strange. But just the action was incredible. Like, the motorball sequence, which was like set up before, was awesome. Again, really brutal, violent. It was fun to watch, and just visually, this movie's stunning. Like, I saw this in IMAX 3D, brilliant. And I'm not an advocate for 3D. I don't like 3D. I think 3D hinders a lot of films, to be honest. But this film definitely deserves to be seen in 3D. It's a stunning, like, the art of it is stunning. And I just thought the world building as well was really clever. What they did with it, like really establishing like the Iron City below, and then really teasing the city above. I really liked all of that. You know, the as above, so below thing. That was cool. My only other sort of real negative with the film is that it sets itself up for a sequel, which I personally don't think we're going to see. Like they tease this villain throughout the entire film, who you're waiting and waiting for him to actually show up, and he doesn't until like the very last minute of the film as like a tease. So essentially, you know, you have Mahershala as the villain of the movie, but you never feel like he's the villain because you always feel like there's someone else behind the scenes, which there is. And then by the end of the movie, you realize, oh no, Mahershala was the villain, really. So that's a bit of a weird thing. If we get a sequel, then sure, and I'll definitely take a sequel to this. But I just feel like
Really want one.
yeah, I just think it was jumping ahead of itself a little bit too quickly. But you know, again, this movie was a big surprise. It was a big surprise for me. I didn't expect to enjoy it. I really did. I thought it was fantastic, and I'm excited for a sequel. If they make a sequel, I'm excited for it. I'll take it. And like I say, most of all, I'm excited to see what Rosa Salazar can do in the future. Now we also have a review for How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. Now, have you seen this?
I saw it a long time ago, actually.
Oh, a long time. Now I actually had only seen the first two the week before I watched this, which surprises me. The fact I've never seen them before, because I actually grew up with DreamWorks movies, so the fact I never saw them really surprised me. But I have to say that this film was awesome. It was such a brilliant ending to this trilogy, absolutely phenomenal ending, and I was just blown away by this film. Just continuing to develop the relationship between Hiccup and Toothless was really well handled, because it went in a different direction than what I was expecting, and that direction was something I really liked. Obviously, no spoilers here, but it was definitely something a lot more, just a lot more personal, and I enjoyed all that. The introduction of the character of the Light Fury was something that, again, I thought was going to be used as a bit of a plot device, and to some extent it is, but it's got a bit more to it than that, and I felt like it had a lot more humanity to it than what it was going to be. I thought it might have been a plot device, love interest sort of thing, and again, there are parts of that, but it's not as overbearing. Also, I really like the villain in this movie as well, Grimmel, a lot better than Drago in the second movie. And like I said about Alita, the visuals in this film, stunning. Like, especially when you get to the hidden world, that is a beautiful segment of the movie. Like this, you know, dragon utopia with all the colors and the lights. It was beautiful to be in that world. Beautiful. And what I really liked as well about this movie is the smaller scale of it. Like, because How to Train Your Dragon 2, I think is better than the first one. And what I really liked about it was how it just elevated the scale. Like the end battle of the second one is huge. What I liked about this movie is it kind of brought the scale back down again and made it a bit more of a personal story, a bit more, again, truly about Hiccup and Toothless, which is why we watch these films. So with that, I thought it was great. And the ending as well. Perfect ending. Absolutely perfect ending. The only thing I wish I didn't know, because, again, no spoilers, but the ending, I just think, like, the ending, I believe it was in a trailer, they showed part of the ending. And that kind of annoys me. And obviously, this was already released before the film, so I don't count this as a spoiler. But you know the shot with Hiccup with the beard? I wish that wasn't released beforehand, because that would have been such an amazing moment. But anyway, I loved the film. I really did. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I'm kind of opposite.
Oh, really?
So I've watched these films with my family, right? They really like it, and my friends, a few of my friends really like it. I actually really like these films. I think they're all right, and I couldn't tell you what the difference is from 1, 2, and 3. I actually don't know. It's all a mishmash for me. I can't really remember, but yeah, this film. So it had its good moments for me. I thought it started off. Thought it was boring, if I'm honest. At the start, I was just kind of like, oh yeah, come on, when's it gonna get going? But it got going when the Light Fury was around, and I really enjoyed that. I thought that was actually really funny. I enjoyed that bit of the film, and also I really liked the ending, like you said. I thought him with a beard, like, come on, what's not to love? But anyway, I thought it was a nice way to end off the trilogy. And yeah, I think the only thing I really liked was the ending and the Light Fury stuff. But apart from that, I really didn't like the villain. I thought the villain was bad. I really didn't like him. But I think kids will like it, and it just didn't really hit for me. And a bittersweet story that some satisfaction, and yeah, I think it builds up towards that ending, but script is really shabby, and yeah, the visuals are very nice, I have to say that, and relationships, but I didn't care, and I still don't care in terms of all the films for a lot of these characters. Only really Hiccup and maybe a few other people. So I thought this film was fine. I didn't really like it, but I didn't really hate it either. So I thought it had its good points and finds its wings ish for me.
I'm surprised. I thought you were gonna really like it. I really like this movie. I think it's just again, because what's interesting for me is that I only watched these films literally, a few days before. So I got through like the entire trilogy in the space of about 5 days, and I was just like, I was just so taken with this story, and I really, because it's like the typical boy and his dog story, but boy and his dragon in this case, and I just really enjoyed it. I don't know, have you ever read the books?
No, I haven't read the book.
No, I've never read any of the books, but like, I'm just so surprised that I've never seen these movies before. Just because
I watched it when they came out.
yeah, I'm
I think.
surprised I didn't, because I grew up with DreamWorks animated films, especially around the time of the first one, sort of 2010. That was like prime time for me. So I'm surprised at that I haven't seen them, but I was just really taken with these films, and just again, I don't know, this honestly, this might be my favorite one. I think this is my favorite one. I think it's the best, and that's really rare by the fact that each each film for me personally gets better. So for me, this is like, and I have like a thing for trilogies. I love a good solid trilogy, and for me, this was a really solid trilogy, and I'm completely happy with it. I love this film, and I'm really excited to watch it again. So yeah, I really like this. I'm quite disappointed that you didn't like it. I really hoped you would, but that's your opinion. So anyway, final review. We have If Beale Street Could Talk. This is directed by Barry Jenkins, starring Stefan James and Kiki Lane. And this film had a lot riding on it. This is coming off of Moonlight, Barry Jenkins' previous film, of course, winner of Best Picture 2016. So I'll let you lead with this one. What are your overall thoughts with For Beale Street?
So going into it, because there was no reviews when I saw it first, I saw it at the London Film Festival, so I was like, okay, Barry Jenkins. So I book it, and then I sort of go in blind because there's like no trailers at all. I literally know nothing, basically, apart from it's a love story, because it was in like the romantic strand of the film festival. I go in, kind of like, I don't know what to think about this. Apart from that, it's Barry Jenkins. And it was amazing. I loved this film. I thought it was incredible. I saw it again the other day. I got to go to a preview screening again, and I was just taken by this and of expectation. And I think it totally meets it, and it's utterly charming, but also is literally like, just looking at this film, like, how is it not nominated for cinematography? And directs the frick out of this. He kills it, and of the intimacy of the film, especially the shots that are, face on face rather than over the shoulder, that they're held in front of them, and you only see their face in close up. And the fact that it's so smooth, it sort of acts like the story because it's plotted out so smoothly, and it's is full of injustice, and the injustice runs throughout it, but it's so beautiful and it's so optimistic, and I just think the way that came across was so stunning, and it's just like perfect film. I don't see anything wrong with it, and I have to mention the score. The score is just beyond this world. It's amazing, it's stunning, it's ravishing, it's luxurious, and really, really goes along with the absolutely sort of incredible way that Barry Jenkins uses music in the film. especially just how charming and nice a scene that could be seen as, like a scene that you would associate with this sort of slow moving kind of jazz music or anything. And this film was just really, really bold and really artfully told, and it's a clear standout, and it's really, really just full of love, and it makes you sort of tear up, and it really touches you. That's what I'm trying to get at, and just beautifully optimistic.
I loved Beale Street. I was about to ask you, do you think it's better than Moonlight? I'm gonna say yes.
I can't say that as of now because I'm
Oh well.
unsure.
I do think this is better than Moonlight, and I love Moonlight, and I think this is better. For me, like, this film really comes down to its performances, because that's what this movie's about. This movie is all about characters, and Stefan James and Kiki Lane, pretty much unknowns at this point, and they were both phenomenal. I've said this, I really want a Motown the musical movie, and I really want
Oh my
Stefan
god,
James
yeah.
as Berry Gordy. I need that, and then get Cynthia Erivo as Diana Ross. Perfect. Uh, I really, if Barry Jenkins isn't going to make this movie, I will make this movie. But yeah, I think he was great. I love Stefan James in this. I thought he was awesome. Kiki Lane, also great. And just their core love story, I really bought into it. I thought it was great. And yeah, the theme of injustice runs throughout this film, of, the character of Fonny being accused of a crime he did not commit, and him serving jail time. And, the ending of the movie is really quite bittersweet as well, because he's basically forced to take a deal which is basically the best option for what is essentially, a man of his color at that time. And I really liked, the fact that that ending was able to take that decision, because it didn't take the easy way out. Camera work, yeah. Why did this not get nominated for cinematography? It's just so well done. Barry Jenkins, yeah, directed the hell out of this. Just a really well directed film. He has this specific style which is very it's very distinct, where it's very up close, it's very personal. It really likes to get you involved in these scenes with the characters. It really likes to get you right in the middle of those arguments and those scenes. Particularly, there's an argument at the beginning of the movie between the two families. I thought that was a fantastic scene.
Oh my
And
god, yeah.
and it's very funny as well, and you feel like you're right in that room. And Moonlight did that as well. Moonlight was very good with that. And this does the same thing. And the script, the dialogue, it's solid. Because what I loved is that all these characters, they felt like real people. They really felt like real people, and you really felt like you were kind of just listening in on real conversations and these real situations. And that's, a massive credit to Barry Jenkins as a writer as well, because being able to just write these realistic characters and really realize these characters into this world, and just to really make it feel as if you, the viewer, were perhaps inside of a real world, was really well done. And my final sort of point for the movie is the score. It's stunning. It's beautiful. Like, it really adds so much to so many scenes. Because, like I say, this movie is very dialogue heavy, but when the dialogue takes a back seat, the music really comes full front, and it's just, it's equally as powerful as the dialogue. Especially, there are a couple of more intimate scenes with the music where it really bolsters it. And, I really hope this movie gets... I think this should win Best Original Score. I really do. And I really hope it does, because it's brilliant. So overall, like I say, I love this. This is one of my favourite films of the year so far. I think it's better than Moonlight. And I'm just so excited to see what Barry Jenkins does next. And also to see where, Stefan James and Kiki Lane's careers go. Because I feel like they did, for first impressions, that is one hell of a good one. In fact, I do have a slight negative. And it's not a massive thing at all. I just found Dave Franco to be really weird in this movie. Like, he was just I didn't even know he was in it, and he just kind of shows up, and his character's a bit weird. He has a really on the nose kind of line, but other than that, I think the movie's fantastic.
Yeah, I just thought it was so amazing, and I just really kind of just fell in love. Especially, I loved it first time, but especially second time, I was just like, oh my god, just embracing it. And my favorite part of the film is probably that sort of scene with all the families, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, we gonna call them over right here.
Yeah.
And then at one point, when everything goes to shit, the sister, one of my favorite lines in the film is when the sister says, "Ain't," she's like, "Ain't nobody gonna sleep with you" or something.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like just one little small one liner right at the end that's just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's
oh,
great.
fuck.
And I just like the way when they're all leaving as well. Regina King just goes, "Take your shit." And like, what's
Your
funny
shit
about
and get out of there.
do you know that line's improv?
Yeah.
I saw an interview. She was on Regina King was on Graham Norton last week, and she was talking about that scene, and that line's improv. So like the actresses who were leaving the room forgot to take, the props with them. So she improv that line. So that's very good. I really like that. But yeah, fantastic film, really good. And it's a shame it's not getting as much attention for award season as I thought it was going to, given the fact it's Barry Jenkins. And given the fact this is basically Moonlight's spiritual successor. But, awards aside, this is just a fantastic film in its own right. I absolutely adored it. So, anyway, that brings us to a close of episode 15 of Real Movie Talk. If you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it around with any other film fans you think may enjoy this sort of content. Make sure you give it a like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss an upload. And as always, I've been Dec.
And Ben.
And we hope to see you guys again next week.